Oh,
Sorry.
sorry. We had
We
to
just had the giggles. We
yeah, we
couldn't
had to
help it.
retrain ourselves.
So today is not tea and wine. Today,
No.
well, technically we are doing tea and wine. Tea is in the oven, and we are
Oh,
having wine later.
oh. So we don't really do much to celebration equinoxes, do we?
Nah,
But
not
other
really.
than we have a nice little walk down the shore, have an ice cream, and just get drunk on wine, playing good
Absolutely.
tunes.
Why not?
And today's been fucking.
Why not?
Why not? I
Sorry, that
love
was
it.
terrible.
It's full of cheese.
Full of
Love
cheese.
it. Pure cheddar.
Oh, stop it.
And today has been brilliant. It's like 15
Yeah,
degrees, which
yeah. I've
is
got
really
tan.
good for like spring.
Honestly, the heat, guys, is tropical.
Oh,
It's so boring.
I've known it to snow in March, so this is really good to have 15 degrees for spring in Scotland. So,
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about. I'm still going to. Do you know what? I'm still going to call it tea and wine with Ash and George.
yeah,
Fuck it, it's become a thing, isn't it?
yeah.
But
So,
today we're going to talk about the idea of Easter within folk magic.
yeah.
The reason why we're talking about Easter is because, particularly within British folk magic, Easter was viewed as a very magical time, and actually, to most Christians, it's not necessarily Christmas that is the most important time. It's actually Easter.
Oh, it's a good point because it's not really
Yeah.
spoke about.
No?
You know, it's only until the 18th century that Christmas becomes a big thing.
Yeah.
It was actually Easter, which was a big,
Yeah.
like you'd have parades, you'd have a nice dinner cooked, like
Yeah.
it was a big thing. So,
Now you just pop round your mum's and eat a couple of chocolate eggs, and
oh,
I don't know.
well, you know, who wants to, when you rise to the occasion, like
Rise to the occasion.
like Jay.
Oh, stop it! You are nailing me down.
Jason.
The JC.
Um,
So we're talking about the idea of Good Friday and Easter Sunday. So these in themselves are very symbolical and magical, symbolically magical times, because the idea of Good Friday, Christ being nailed to the cross, and the idea of Easter, Christ rising again from the dead.
the resurrection.
Yeah. So this in itself is actually a very magically potent time, and we're going to go into a couple of reasons why. So number one.
Yeah, we're not very good with that.
Yeah, we're like,
you see like a 1 and a 2. No,
Yeah.
we're just going to use
Yeah,
the figures.
like number one. You're like, oh, they're on the budget. So number one is that Good Friday. I was always taught that Good Friday is actually the perfect time for cursing, because the idea is that Jesus isn't there. So it's like, we can do it. He's not here. But
The JC's away.
the JC's off. So I was always taught that Good Friday is the perfect time for that, because Jesus isn't there.
You've got 3 days.
Jesus is getting
Go
nailed.
curse Friday. Oh, God. Lucky for some.
Yeah. So the idea is that, like, Jesus is away, so you're able to do curses, which you actually made a really good point.
So, which also, number 2, is that because that idea that Jesus isn't present for 3 days, that you need extra protection around this time on your home, yourselves, your livestock, whatever you own, because Jesus isn't there present as the all-encompassing protection of your hearth and family and kin. So you kind of have to rely on your own sort of magic and do a lot of prayers, a lot of charms, which we will refer to late in the video, like the Good Friday spell by the Pendle Witches. But yeah, like going back to what you said, you've got 3 days of curse, like curse mania.
It's 3 days of cursing.
Spend this time making, like, I don't know, for me, I bought a beautiful candle from Aysbury,
Yeah, it was
and
beautiful.
I call it my cursing candle. There's not much of it left now. Like,
she doesn't hold a grudge. She does not hold a grudge.
So you messed up. I'm like, he's still alive.
I'm like, I should just cut in front of you. I'll just get past it. No,
he's still alive.
Put it in the burn.
But yeah, like from Aysbury, I got these beautiful candles, but I'm gonna start making my own.
It's beeswax, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beeswax, black, and it's red inside, and it's packed with like herbs associated with Saturn, I think it was. And then it's laced, like it's covered in black. So, and I use that. I call that my cursing candle. Cursing candle. I don't know what's happening to my tongue. Maybe it's Easter. I don't know. But yeah, spends his time making cursing candles. Curse that person that you've always wanted to get justice for, it's just around the corner.
Can you imagine someone's got like a book, they're like, right, and it's like a long list. After they watch this video, they just spend like a weekend like cursing.
Like, I am shattered.
Yeah. God, I feel really depressed and negative, and I don't know why. But a good idea for that is that you can utilize valerian root, also known as vandal root. And valerian was said to be one of the only plants that grew at the foot of Christ at the time of crucifixion. And it is actually a fantastic plant in terms of cursing people. Some people even call it graveyard dust because it smells like fucking shit.
Yeah. Or dirty bin.
Sweaty socks. Sweaty sock.
Dirty bin in a sweaty sock in a dirty bin.
What about dirty bin in a sweaty sock?
Either or.
But the point is, like, that's actually, you can utilize and work with that plant. It's also really good for insomnia, but that's a different kind of video. But vandal root or valerian root.
I think it's even known as like grave. They call it grave.
Yeah, graveyard dust.
It smells like a rotten corpse.
Yeah.
Another.
Not that we know what rotting corpses smell like.
No.
Did you take care of that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Got the incense from the go. But yeah, another plant associated with the resurrection of Christ, well, the crucifixion of Christ, sorry, is the thorn tree, and particularly I think they're referring to is the black thorn tree. And there's a rhyme that goes, neither a bush nor a tree since our Christ was nailed to thee. So a lot of people use this wood around about this time to extra protection, or and make crosses out of them, like you do with rowan. But here in Scotland they call it the holyrood. And that's all connection with the mythology of King David I and him finding the holyrood from the sacred stag and whatever. So they make the holyroods out of blackthorn or whitethorn as a protection around these times.
So another thing that you can do, and it's something that we've actually done, something we've actually done in the past, is the famous Good Friday charm by the Pendle Witches in Lancashire. I'm reading this from Wicked Enchantments, A History of the Pendle Witches and Their Magic by Joyce Froome. Fantastic book. You can't really buy it now. It's actually worth about £300.
Yeah, it's.
If you watch tonight, someone just robs their house for Joyce Froome's book. No! Don't take anything but the book!
Yeah, it's not talking about the other volumes that I've got because I'm very precious.
Wait until my books come round, Jesus.
It's going to be a mini library.
So the Good Friday charm was actually a charm that was given in a confession, in a witchcraft confession of the Pendle Witches. And one of these, this is essentially a popish charm, which means a Roman Catholic charm. And one of the things about this is that it's very much, you can Google Good Friday charm because it's long. It's really long.
We'd be here for quite some while.
We really would, yeah. But
we've done it.
We have, yeah.
We do it.
Someone's watching the video, they're like, no, they're going to be too long. But the thing is that with this spell, there's actually similar connotations towards something what's known as the White Paternoster, which means the White Our Father. And essentially this spell, the links with the White Paternoster, there is also, some people say that the White Paternoster has links to ancient Egypt in the sense, not directly, but in the sense that a lot of Egyptian spells of the dead were all about preserving the life after death, all about getting into a good place on the scales, all about going to heaven.
Yeah, basically. Making that feather a little bit light.
Yeah, just a little bit light. But basically the White Paternoster has links to that, and basically there are things in it like Stex, Hell's Gates, basically talking about St. Peter's Key and the 12 Apostles, Stex, Hell's Door, Open, Heaven's Door keys. It's really, but essentially this spell was said to be used and worked for an anti-bewitchment charm. And this is actually something we do every Good Friday. We actually, because what happened is that the Pendle Witches were said to have stolen. James, one of their sons, was said to have stolen a sheep, and they had like mutton. So what we do is we actually make lamb.
Yeah,
we have like a lamb stew.
Yeah,
We have a little lamb
make
stew.
it real boozy though.
Oh,
it's lots. Also, talking about that, if you don't mind, is we're referring to the Good Friday spell with painful witches, and how there is obvious a blending of both the white and black paternoster. Agnes Sampson, who was tried for witchcraft in Scotland in North Berwick, had very similar, like, which is in my personal book, and she called it she had a white prayer and a black prayer. And there's very similar elements to the paternosters. But yeah, and also we'll go into how when we perform the rite each year, like, so there's certain elements that we took from we're not going to read it all out, but there's certain elements that we took from the actual incantation or prayer, and we utilised it as a ritual, didn't we? So I highlighted it in my personal book, my wee black book. So it starts off our Lord's own bell. So then we ring the bell, and it says, "Alight the left wand." So then we rise the wand or tap it 3 times on the altar, don't we, or the space. Then it talks about a cross of blue and another of red. So what we do is we have a blue cross and a red cross, which we use red ochre and
blue pigment,
and I can't remember what we got at Waterstones actually. I can't remember what the blue pigment's called, but it's natural pigments, which is like
most people have, like, after order Easter eggs in, like, shit, we need more pigment.
Oh, but essentially, you can use anything like food.
Could use blue in
food colouring that doesn't dye your skin.
Oh yeah, sure.
And then it says about sickle and stake. So we get our sickle and stake and we cross them. And then it talks about nor stickle or stake will harm us. So then we cross ourselves with the stickle and stake. And that's essentially it. And then we
have keys as well to represent Heaven's Door keys.
Yeah, and also it's a good time to, if you've got a Cross Creed charm, it's a good time to have it on your space to recharge and bless them in the name of St. Peter.
What you can do as well, which you can do your cursing before and then do the Friday charm after. But keep that separately.
A wee drawing of it, you see. You're staking. Well, it's not a sickle there. I should have done a sickle. I don't know why I've done a knife. But
I've never had a sickle.
I did, but left it at an X of mine. So yeah. Another thing as well you could use this for blessing is a Scottish charm found in the discovery of witchcraft, and it's to sane the house, and this has certain times of a blessing, a general blessing. Well, it's a grand blessing on your house, so you could use that as well.
So should we go into Easter?
Well, yeah.
So Easter,
Get
not
the
just
eggs
about chocolate eggs, although I do love a good chocolate egg.
I love a good chocolate
egg. So what would you do if, like, we just, like, was meant to be talking about, like, witchcraft and folk magic, and we spent, like, the rest of the half an hour just talking about chocolate eggs?
And we just get this massive egg out and just like
everyone's like really like disappointed by our video.
They're like, they're just eggs.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. So going to be reading from this book, Connyman's Handbook by Jim Baker.
My favourite, and God, it's a handbook.
The Practice of English Folk Magic, 1550 to 1900.
It's packed with virtues from many centuries.
It's like a Bible.
It is. It is the Connyman's Bible, though.
Yeah, so. It should have been called that.
It's packed.
It's packed. So, one of the things that is very... I'm just going to read these out, actually.
Yeah, just do it.
One of the things that's quite popular in Easter is the idea of making a love potion and the idea of making love potions on Easter. So, there is a recipe here for Easter water, which comes from the Golden Wheel in 1862. References it as well. So reference. Brilliant. Can't beat it. So, in speaking of a love potion, I made mention of Easter water. Many of my readers have, I suppose, never heard of this singular kind of water. I will explain it to you. It is water which is drawn from the river upon Easter morning, before the sun has shone upon it. To obtain it, therefore, you must rise on Easter morning while it is still quite dark.
Mm-hmm.
Take your way to the river in silence. That'd be fucking hard for you to do.
So, shut up.
Mind you, I say that'd be hard for me.
You're the
So,
same as
yeah.
well.
I'm
But
the
both are chattering little witches.
Fill your pitcher in silence and then make your way home in silence without looking behind you. There's always that aspect in folk magic, don't look back. You may then go to bed again and have your sleep out. This Easter water has this peculiarity. It will keep sweet throughout the whole year. You can therefore fill as many bottles with it as you please, cork them tightly and lay them away. Besides its use in the above-named love potion, it is beneficial in various maladies, especially in diseases of the eye, and in addition to this, it is an approved cosmetic.
Ooh.
So
just splash a bit of that in the morning.
I know. So you just thought the dew on Beltane morning was good.
Oh.
Think again. So the next one is to prepare a love potion. Again by the Golden Will, 1862. The following substances must be gathered in silence when the full moon is in the heavens. 3 white rose leaves, 3 red rose leaves, 3 forget-me-nots, and 5 blossoms of Veronica. All these things you must place in a vessel and then pour them upon 590 drops of clear Easter water. Ooh. And place the vessel over a fire.
It's very specific.
It's really specific. I'm like, you're being so specific now. Or what is better still, over a spirit lamp. This mixture must be allowed to boil for exactly the 16th part of an hour. 16 minutes.
No, stop it. It's getting
silly now.
It's getting full
that's 16 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unless it's just me being really disconnected.
It might be.
When it has boiled for the requisite length of time, remove it from the fire and pour it into a flask. Cork it tightly and seal it, and it will keep for years without losing its virtue. That this potion is certain its effect I myself will guarantee, for I have gained more than 30 hearts by its help. That sounds sinister. 3 drops swallowed by the person whose love you desire will suffice.
Fucking 30 people. Oh my god, she was bizarre. What's that again?
This is a Lambrini girl.
Not this. But yeah, that's really perfect. And also, if you haven't got time to go to a river or there isn't one nearby, because it's quite an early in the morning to go.
Yeah.
You could go, and you're religious, you could go to mass. A lot of people get fill up their jars of holy water on Easter. Also, what they do on Easter, I've known. I think it's something from I don't know where. I don't think I've heard this from a book. I think it was something I heard from my grand's friends, and when they were chatting, but they were saying how on Easter they relight the candles in church, which they use for baptisms and for blessing, weddings and funerals, so all the high days and holidays.
Yeah. And
they relight a brand new candle on Easter, representing the light of Christ. And I think I remember my grand's friends saying to my grandma once time how they sneakily get a little tapper and from the candle and then stub it out because it's supposed to be give luck of the home, protection, and all that good stuff. Yeah. So
the other thing is hot cross buns.
Mm-hmm. 2 a penny, 3 a penny, hot cross buns.
I only like the chocolate. There was one that they'd done a chocolate chip caramel hot cross bun. It was fit. I'm not really a fan of raisins that much.
I love raisins. I love granny cake. I love all that.
Rum and raisin ice cream.
Oh, anything with raisins.
Grainy bits of shit. I just can't get
it. But yeah, funny enough, when I was in Dundee, they have completely different hot cross buns.
Really?
It's how to explain what? It's kind of a really soft bread. That's just got a proper small cross on it. A small crucifix, as opposed to a cross and a cross. I think I took a picture of music. Yeah. That's Dundee. So hot cross buns were used in folk magic for curing diarrhea. And what you would do, which I'm just going to read it out. So diarrhea to cure
diarrhea.
Please let you go. To cure diarrhea, take a stale Good Friday cross bun and place it in a hot oven to dry. By grating it when it's hard into powder, and then when required, adding with cold water and taking the medicine, it will cure diarrhea. Also refers to rhyme, um, which says that, like no any other bread, it will never go stale. So it goes, when Good Friday comes, an old woman runs with one or two a penny hot cross buns, whose virtue is, if you believe what's said, that they do not grow mouldy like the common bread. And there you go, like you're seeing like this magical association
Yeah.
with the hot cross bun and with Christ, and that it just doesn't go mouldy because it's blessed and cooked on that day. So you can use it for diarrhea. Um, I use it for all cures, or
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, what can I add to it, like just to give it that little oomph. So I'm like, I just put a few crumbs of like last year's
Hot
hot
cross
cross
bun.
buns, and then what you can just do is buy them. I'm not very good at bakery, so I just buy them from the bakers on Good Friday or Easter. I let it go stale for like 1, 2 days on the window edge, and then I just kind of dry them out in a sort of low heat or cooling oven. It's perfect if you just cooked your dinner and you turn the oven off, just stick it in, and it won't burn them, it will just dry them out. And then you can just, once it's all cooled down, you just crumble them in your hands and stuff and pop it in like a jar,
I actually like done
label
it.
it and date it.
Yeah, I actually done it
Important.
like a couple of years ago, and like I just left it. I didn't put it in the oven, and it went completely like solid.
Could
It
you
still
kill
went
someone with
flexible.
it?
Yeah,
You're like,
never mind.
they just got a cross in their head.
How did he die? And you're like holding this hot cross bun. You're like,
Hot cross buns. Who's the death?
but you could get that powder.
Yeah.
For instance, if someone is having stomach problems, you could get that powder and use that on a healing charm.
Oh,
Or actually, screw it, any
oh.
healing charm.
And since we're on the subject of powders, I'll give the egg to you to
Oh,
talk about.
I'm very excited to talk about
Oh,
this.
excellent.
So we are a house that saves its eggshells because
Yeah.
they are useful. So one of the things you can do, and this isn't British folk magic, this is definitely brujeria and
Hmm.
also going into hoodoo as well, is you can make something called cascarilla. And cascarilla can be used for a myriad of purposes. Some people use it to draw symbols on the floor when they're conjuring. It can be used for protection. It can be used for cleansing as well. There is particular spells that involves a whole egg going around someone's body with a whole egg and then crack it in a basin.
Yeah, that's
And
a good
if there's
divination.
blood in the water in the yolk, then that person's been crossed.
Or just
Um,
scrying it as well.
yeah. But eggshells are actually really, really useful for things like protection, and also
Oh, I didn't
making
hear
a
in hoodoo that if you want to remove a curse or negative um, vibes or energy, they place eggs in the corners of the room for certain days.
probably there's so many.
I think Mama Star Cancer.
Yeah, there's so many
She
different
does that.
there's so many different spells where
Yeah,
you get like a whole egg and go over yourself, and
yeah,
like sometimes
the
you bury
healing.
it at a crossroads, walk away and don't look back if you want to
Yeah.
get rid of the
There you
curse.
go.
And
Don't
look
look
back.
back in anger.
Yeah.
I heard you curse.
Oh, proper like touching on my Mancunian heart.
Oh.
But yeah, so eggs are actually pretty potent, and let's,
Yeah.
without further ado,
Yeah.
let's
So.
hand it over to you, which I'm ecstatic about.
Oh,
I was trying to find
excellent.
something that was shit.
So I'd also think like, which I think is American conjure, but I sort of adapted myself, where you can grind these down in your mortar and pestle, and I use it for either helping with clients with fertility problems, specifically towards the woman. I use it for lining out my sigils or my seals that I'm marking on the ground. And the idea is that, in my mind, is because it represents birth. Okay, they're not, they're not, they're not fertilized eggs, but the whole
It's where
idea,
life comes
it's
from.
where life is.
Yeah.
So essentially, when you use these powders, you're bringing life to
Yeah.
your charm, your seal that you've scored on the ground or on your floor.
Speaking of eggs as well,
Hmm.
there is also the idea of like Saviok witch pits.
Yeah.
found like by Cornwall. So
Yeah.
it's quite interesting. I'm not going to give all the information about it. You can easily find it on Google.
It's fascinating.
It is
They've actually
fascinating.
really like found that the oldest pit goes to like the 18th century, something
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
it's further back.
Oh, is
I
it?
think so. Don't
Oh
quote
right,
me on
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
16th
but
century because they
then
found a
they
piece of leather, didn't they, or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then they found someone like that done it from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But it is pretty savage. I'm just gonna be honest. Like,
Magical
really,
archaeology, brilliant.
it is really savage. So just bear with me. I'm not saying you have to do this. I
No.
wouldn't really encourage people to do it because it's quite cruel. But it's just a piece of historical evidence of folk magic occurring. Is that people would use what's known as Saviot witch pits, where basically a hole would be dug. Things like seeds would be thrown there, and things like eggs, particularly it would be eggs that have life in them,
Mhm.
and a lot of the time swan pelts were found within them. And some people speculated that it may have been a link to St. Bridget, and there was basically a swan that was killed within them. And the idea was that it was all about fertility. It was
Mhm.
all about bringing fertility for people,
Yeah.
and that's what the Saviot witch pits basically essentially done. It was a way in which they brought life.
Oh,
So basically ending life to give another
yeah. It's quite
life.
sad, really,
It's
because they would bury chicks just as they were about to
Yeah, it was
hatch.
cruel.
But
It's
I can
completely
see,
cruel.
oh, I can see the
Sympathy of,
magic
yeah,
sympathy to it because it's like you said, it's
yeah,
taking life to make life, and
yeah,
it's the act that they're essentially hatching out into like the soil, like and
yeah,
dying. So doing the act, but then sacrificed
yeah.
for another act.
Which, by the way, we're
But
not like, oh, what you could do, like,
no,
because don't. That's just
no,
cruel. It's
we're a
evil.
household that is against animal cruelty.
Yeah,
Human cruelty, that's fine. No, I'm only joking. All forms of cruelty, even
yeah,
even to plants. We're
yeah,
animists. Um, Another thing about eggs is something that I was taught when years ago, when I was a little baby Wiccan. Oh, I was in a Wiccan group and whatever. Is a thing that we did was that you can have like a bit on Easter or on this day. So if you want to do this, still time. You can crack open an egg, somewhat similar to that. So only crack it lightly, so you've got like a base into it, and you would write on a petition like a wish or a desire, pop it in there with some soil, and then pop in like either like an apple seed or some sunflowers are good because they grow high, so you want it to really strive for that goal. Another thing as well with eggs is it's being used for fertility in that same way with the seed, and then the person's name because it's white inside, perfect, was a marker. Make sure it's non-toxic, so you don't want to go into the plant. Write their name, date of birth, plant the seed, and as that grows, because it represents like birth, even the womb, the soil, as that grows, so will like a baby grow in someone's belly. Another bit, sorry, free,
another thing.
free, is that going to that tradition, a long tradition of where Easter comes from, not when it comes from, but painting eggs, where we used to do this as a kid, like
Yeah,
me and my
I
mom
remember.
used to like, and my dad as well used to carry it out. So you pop a little pin at the top and a pin at the bottom, and you get wee straw, and you sort of blow the yolk out from the bottom,
Yeah.
and then we'd thread them, and then we'd paint them. Like I normally like be really like accurate with it and like this, whereas my sister's like was go and just make a mess
Yeah,
of
I've
it.
done a really shit job with mine.
Oh, I was
Like,
just like, no, I'd be like there for hours, and mum was like, tea's times now, like dinner time, and I'm like, no, give me egg. But anyway, yeah. So go into that idea. You, if you've got a desire for this coming year, because it's still the beginning, the year's still new,
yeah,
you know, and you've got something that you planned for summer that you want to be in fruition, you could paint like symbols that represent that. So if you want a career or prosperity and money, you could draw coins like notes, the bank. Yeah, like so if you've got the Bank of Scotland, just you know, the symbol of the Bank of Scotland. But any sort of that represents your desire. Image magic is very
yeah,
powerful.
yeah,
It's powerful because it allows us to focus on our goal better, and also it's that saying that like the universe works better in imagery
yeah.
and visualization than we do with the spoken word. So yeah, a little bit of egg there.
Is that everything?
One
Is
last
that
thing.
egg? Oh, I'm going to start now.
Just stop.
But I hope today we've supplied you with some cracking
Yeah.
information.
Well, one more juicy thing, which is something that is like my own personal practice, so it's not historical in that. But I have a lucky rabbit's foot. It's actually antique. I've got it. It's from the sixties, I believe. So quite beautiful. And what I do, because this association now of eggs and rabbits at Easter. So on Easter morning, I bless my rabbit's foot to renew its luck. So yeah.
Yeah.
Because things need renewing, right? Even look.
Well, I mean, and typically like springtime would
Oh.
be a lot of the times when charmers, pellers, cunning folk, wayside witches would renew charms for people. That was quite a popular idea. That as spring returned, so did the power of the charmer, so did the power of the conjurer.
Or the conjurer.
So that is also another aspect of it as well. So
yeah, which is good point to make is, as the sap is rising in the trees, so is so to zap. Sap to zap.
But yeah, that's it. Sorry, by the way, if we haven't been as active. We've both got new jobs.
Busy with uni and essays.
Really busy, so apologies.
As spring came, like it's become really hectic for us, isn't it?
It has, but it's good. Good hectic. Yeah. All good hectic. Really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope this video has helped.
Yeah.
And
have a nice Easter.
Have a nice
equinox. We're gonna get
Easter.
drunk on wine. So
yeah. It's all good. I don't normally drink through lockdown. I don't normally drink through lockdown, but now I've got a job. Things kind of, because I'm going out and seeing people. It's not as bad.
Bitch, it's time for you to drink. So yeah, we're just we're finally gonna burn our Christmas stuff, like our holly and mistletoe in the garden.
It's just meant to be burnt at Imholt, but
things happen. So, but spring.
Yeah.
Equinox is fine, just as well.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. Right, over and out, and peace.
Peace.